traced my name in your notebook, like you were testing how it felt. You said this could be something, but never gave yourself. You'd look at me like lightning, like you were close to falling deep. But every time it got too real, you took a step from me. You stood right at the edge of something we could be, but you were scared of drowning in loving me. You almost left me, almost stayed, almost gave your heart away. You almost chose me, almost tried, almost let me be your side. But almost doesn't hold a knife, and almost doesn't make it right. You almost loved me, but almost isn't love. You said timing wasn't perfect. You said you needed space, but space was just a distance you were scared to face. You'd call me when you missed me, but never when you cared. You liked the way I loved you, just not enough to stay there. I was ready for forever, you were ready to retreat. I was jumping in the deep end, you were standing on the beach. You almost loved me, almost fought, almost gave me every thought. You almost stayed when I was breaking, almost fixed the heart you're shaking, but almost leaves me here alone with half a love and half a home. You almost love me, but almost isn't love. Maybe in another lifetime you'd be brave enough to fall. Maybe in another version you'd give me all. You almost loved me, almost enough, but almost never feels like love. You almost chose me, but chose your fear. And now I'm the one not here. You almost loved me, and that's the hardest part, 'cause almost broke my heart. Crying in the hallway. The light was barely flickering. At 2 a.m. again, you slammed the door so casually, like this was just pretend. Your voice still echoed through the walls, but you were already gone. I stood there in the silence, trying to stay strong. You always win the arguments, you always walk away, but you never see the damage you leave behind to stay. I was crying in the hallway while you were sleeping just fine, breaking down in the shadows. It never crossed your mind. I was crying in the hallway, holding pieces of my pride. You said love shouldn't hurt this way, but you were never by my side. crying in the hallway. You say I'm overreacting, like tears are just a game. But no one cries that quietly if nothing's really changed. I used to wipe my mascara before you came back in, pretending I was steady so you wouldn't call it a thing. You never saw the trembling behind my steady tone. I fought my tears in private so you wouldn't feel alone. I was crying in the hallway while you were shutting down. You built your walls around you and let my heart drown. I was crying in the hallway, begging for something real, but you only heard the silence. You never heard how I feel, crying in the hallway. Lately, if you saw me breaking on that cold tiled floor, you would've loved me louder, like I asked for before. I was crying in the hallway, but I'm not there anymore. No more tears in the shadows, no more waiting at your door. You can keep your quiet comfort, you can keep your distant way. I was crying in the hallway. Now I'm walking You're standing in the kitchen like you finally found the words, the ones I used to wait for, the ones I never heard. You say you didn't mean it every time you walked away, but silence has a memory and mine remembers everything. You watch me breaking quiet, you let the distance grow, and now you say you need me. Don't say it now, don't tell me you love me loud when I'm already halfway gone, when I've been strong for too long. Don't say it now, don't reach for me somehow. You had your chance to show me how, so don't say it now. You always saved your honesty for moments full of fear, like love was something urgent only when the end was near. I begged you for that softness, your suddenly given free, but words don't fix the damage when they come too late for me. You never fought when I was bleeding, now you fight 'cause I'm done needed. Don't say it now, don't whisper what I figured out. tragedy was fragile from the start. Don't say it now, don't cry like you don't know how. I needed you when I was breaking, not when I'm done shaking. Don't say it now, I finally see it clear somehow. You don't get to call this love when it only shows up. Don't say it Don't say it now. Halfway out the door, you're sitting right beside me, but your eyes are somewhere else. Like you've already packed your feelings and put them on a shelf. You say you're just tired lately, that nothing's really wrong, but I can feel the distance in the way you hold on. You kiss me like a memory, not like you're still in love. And every time I reach for you, you're already giving up. You were halfway out the door before I even knew. Still saying I adore you, but it didn't feel true. You were halfway out the door while I was fighting for us both. I was holding on to forever. You were quietly letting go halfway out the door. You start talking about the diffuser, like it scared you to commit. Every plan turned into silence, every promise counterfeit. You'd say, we're fine, just overthinking, like my heart was over dramatic. But love doesn't slowly disappear without someone turning static. You didn't leave in one loud moment, you left in little ways, and I was the last to notice. You were already walking away. You were halfway out the door when you held me that night, like I was something temporary. You were too afraid to fight. You were halfway out the door, and I was begging you to stay. But love can't survive when only one heart wants to stay. Halfway out the Maybe I felt it coming, but I didn't want it real. It's hard to watch someone fade when they're still standing still. You were halfway out the door cardboard box, tied it up with every loss. I whisper to myself at midnight, it's time to end the cost. You didn't see me standing there, you didn't hear me pray, but I've been living in a shadow, and I can't stay that way. I counted every tear I cried, I waited every time for someone who wouldn't fight for what was mine. I was brave enough to leave, even when my heart said please. Even when the memories pulled me back, I let go of what I lacked. I was brave enough to leave and finally learn to breathe. No more holding on to pain, no more waiting in the rain. I was brave enough to leave. I walked past the rooms we shared, every picture, every chair. I didn't look back at your door, I didn't need anything more. I trusted in my own heartbeat, trusted in the morning light. I finally chose myself again and left the dark behind. You never saw the strength I gained from nights I spent alone, but every step I took away was mine and mine alone. I was brave enough to leave, even when my soul believed that loving you was all I knew. But now I found a love that's true. I was brave enough to leave, no more chains around my dreams. The door is closed, the past is gone, and now I finally move on. I was brave enough to leave. Maybe you'll wonder someday why I walked away, but some hearts can't stay in shadows, they're meant to find their day. I was brave enough to leave, and the world feels wide and free. Every tear I cried before was a lesson to restore. I was brave enough to leave, and now I finally see that love begins with letting go, choosing me. I was brave enough to leave. You used to sleep through every warning, every tear I tried to hide. I was screaming in the silence, you were steady, safe inside. I was fading in your shadow, waiting for your heart to change. But love was just a word you whispered, never something you became. Now you're reaching for my hand, like you finally understand. But love woke up too late, knocking on a closing gate. Now you're saying all the things you should have said before. Love woke up too late, now you're begging me to stay. But I buried all the hope you left bleeding yesterday. You can cry, you can't explain, but love woke up too late. You call it fear, you call it timing, like that makes it hurt less now. But I waited in the hallway while you wouldn't take a bow. I gave you every version of a girl who tried to stay, but I won't be your awakening when I've 'cause I'm done waiting. Love woke up too late when the pieces couldn't stay. Now you're finally wide awake, but I've already slipped away. Love woke up too late, and I won't relive that pain. You can hold the empty space, but I won't fill it up again. Love woke up too late. Maybe if you saw me leaving, you'd have opened up your eyes. But love that needs a tragedy was never meant to survive. Love woke up too late after every chance you gave away. Now you're crying in the ruins of the silence you created. Love woke up too late, and I finally feel okay. You don't get to call it love when it only comes to stay. Too late. There's a suitcase by the door, been there longer than before. I packed it up in silent fights you never saw on sleepless nights. There's a shadow on the wall of pictures we don't fix it all. You say we're fine, just give it time, but time's been cruel to hearts like mine. You didn't hear me when I whispered, didn't see me breaking slowly, but now you're staring at the handle like you finally know you'll lose me. There's a suitcase by the door, and you're loving me like never before. Now you're holding me like I might disappear. Where was that love all these years? There's a tremble in your voice, like you suddenly have no choice. You only fight when I'm halfway gone. Why does your heart wake up at dawn when there's a suitcase by the door? You say we can fix what's bleeding, like it hasn't been repeating. All the nights I cried alone while you were steady as a stone. Now your hands won't let me go. Funny how you love me so, when the zipper's almost closed, when the leaving feels exposed. You didn't reach when I was falling, didn't care when I was calling, but the second I stopped needing you, there's a suitcase by the door, and you're begging me for more. Now you're swearing you'll change your mind, but you were quiet every time. There's a crack inside my chest from loving you at my best. You only want what you're about to lose. Why did it take goodbye to choose? There's a suitcase by the door. Maybe you love the comfort of knowing I'd stay. Maybe you never thought I'd be the one to walk away. But love shouldn't need a warning, shouldn't bloom when it's too late. You don't get to call it love There's a suitcase by the door, and this time I'm walking out for sure. It wasn't loud, no shattered glass, no screaming match about the past. Just quiet words and tired eyes and truth we couldn't disguise. You said we'd talk about it soon, like we always used to do. But something in the way you stood said I was done waiting for you. I felt it in my heartbeat. This wasn't just another fight. This time I wasn't breaking. This was the night I finally walked away. No tears left for you to make me stay. No more begging for love to change. No more standing in the rain. This was the night I chose myself over promises you never kept. You watched me leave without a sound, but this time I didn't turn around. The night I finally walked away. I used to shake at the thought of losing all the pieces we built in vain. But loving you felt heavier than stepping into the pain. You called my name behind me, like you finally understood. But love shouldn't take a goodbye to start being good. You didn't fight when I was breaking. Now you fight 'cause I'm not staying. This was the night I finally walked away. When your I love you came too late. When I stopped trying to be enough for someone who gave me crumbs of love. This was the night I took control of every shattered piece of soul. You saw the strength you never gave. The night I finally walked away. Maybe you thought I'd always stay. Maybe you never thought I'd change. But every quiet, lonely tear built the courage standing here. This was the night I finally walked away. No more hoping you would stay. No more waiting for your heart to love me from the start. This was the night I closed the door on who I used to be before you lost me in your delay. The night I finally walked away. The night I finally walked away. You bring me coffee in the morning, say my name like it's brand new. You listen when I'm talking, like you're scared to lose the truth. You hold me a little tighter, you don't let go too fast. Funny how you learn to love me right when I'm done with the past. Where was this version of you when I was falling apart? Where was this gentle voice when you were breaking my heart? Why do you love me now, like I'm already gone? Why do you say the right things when I've been waiting so long? You love me like I'm leaving, like I won't be around. You promise you won't hurt me like it's a brand new mistake. But I remember crying all nights you didn't care. Now you swear you'd fix it, but you weren't even there. It's easy to be perfect when you feel me slipping away. It's easy to fight for love when I don't wanna stay. Why do you love me now when I've already changed? Why do you hold me closer when I'm walking away? You love me like I'm precious, like you finally figured it out. Why couldn't you love me then the way you love me now? Maybe if you love me like this from the start, we wouldn't be standing here with two breaking hearts. So you love me now, like you're scared to lose me, like I'm the only thing you ever knew. But love that comes too late still leaves a scar somehow. I wish you loved me then the way you love me now. The way you love me now. We've said goodbye 100 times, like it was just another line thrown around in angry fights, never meant to mean goodbye. But something in the way you stood didn't feel like it once could. No slam doors, no raised voice, just a quiet final choice. No more fix this in the morning, no more baby don't you worry, just the silence settling in. That's when goodbye felt real, when you didn't try to heal, when your eyes didn't chase mine like they used to every time. That's when goodbye felt real, when your touch forgot the feel of holding on to something true, like I was already gone to you. Goodbye finally felt real. You didn't beg, you didn't break, didn't fight for love's own sake. You just watched me pack my heart, like we both knew this was the start of something colder than before. No more standing at the door, no more please just stay tonight, just surrender without a fight. We were experts at pretending, but this time there was no bending. That's when goodbye felt real, when forever lost its appeal, when I stopped waiting for your call and you stopped caring at all. That's when goodbye felt real, when my tears began to heal, when loving you felt harder than walking out that door. Goodbye finally felt real. but we didn't say the words. Sometimes the loudest endings are the ones that barely hurt. That's when goodbye felt real, when the silence screamed too loud, when I finally saw the truth hidden underneath your doubt. That's when goodbye felt real, when I didn't beg or kneel. Sometimes love just disappears, and that's when goodbye feels real. You started missing me. You used to leave my messages sitting there unread. You say you needed space while I was losing sleep instead. I waited in your silence like it meant something sweet, but love shouldn't feel like begging to be seen. You didn't notice I was fading while I was right there in your arms. Now you're reaching for a ghost of who I was. You only started missing me when I stopped calling your name, when I packed up all my pieces and walked away from the pain. Now you're staring at your phone, wondering where I've been. You only started missing me when I started missing you again. You say you see it clearly now. You say you understand, but clarity comes easy when you're losing what you had. You say I was your safe place, your comfort in the storm. Funny how you love me more when I wasn't yours. I was always there waiting, you were always halfway gone. Now you feel the empty space that you built all alone. You only started missing me when the door was closed for good, when love and me became something you never understood. Now you replay every memory, trying to hold on tight. You only started missing me when I finally said Maybe I was easy to take for granted then, but I'm not the girl who waits again. You only started missing me when I found my strength, when I stopped chasing your heart and walked away at length. Now you know what losing feels like. Now you feel the truth. You only started missing me when I stopped missing you. I used to reach across the silence, begging you to meet me there. You look at me like I was asking for something you couldn't spare. I stayed up fighting for us while you slept just fine. I was holding on to forever, you were killing You say you didn't mean to hurt me, like that makes it disappear. But love that's always second place was never safe in here. I was fading in the background while you stayed comfortably blind. Now I'm walking toward the sunlight and you're running out of time. You didn't fight when I was falling. Now you're scared 'cause I'm not cold. You felt me slipping when my tears finally dried. When I stopped believing in your almost tries. You felt me slipping like a secret you couldn't keep. Now you're drowning in the silence that you taught my heart to speak. You felt me slipping. Maybe you loved the version of me that would stay, but you never loved the moment I learned how to walk away. You felt me slipping when I stopped begging for more. When I realized loving you shouldn't feel like war. You felt me slipping, but it's too late to hold. You only noticed my leaving when I finally grew cold. You felt me slipping. You heard the door slam. I left a note on the counter. Packed my things, kept it small. You were humming like nothing happened. Not noticing at all. The coffee's cold on the table. The silence fills the room. I walked away slowly and you were humming a tune. You didn't feel me leaving. You didn't hear me sigh. But the second the door slammed, you finally realized. You heard the door slam, and suddenly it hit you hard. That love doesn't wait forever, and I'm no longer in your arms. You heard the door slam, and every word I never said came crashing like a lightning strike inside your head. You heard the door slam. I used to stay for your laughter. I used to beg for your care, but you only noticed me when I wasn't standing there. I counted all your promises, the ones that fell through the cracks, and I walked out quietly, no turning back. You didn't see the nights I cried. You didn't see me fight. But the second the door slammed, you felt the missing light. You heard the door slam, and now it echoes in your mind. All the moments you ignored, all the love you left behind. You heard the door slam, like a truth you can't erase. I'm gone and it's too late now to take back space. You heard the door slam. Maybe you always thought I'd come running back, but some doors once closed don't ever crack. You heard the door slam, and it shook your world apart. the dark, you heard the door slam, and I hope you finally see some loves are meant to stay. When hearts break free, you heard the door slam. Your arms were wrapped around me, but something wasn't right. Your touch felt like a memory fading out of sight. You kissed me like a question you couldn't answer twice, like loving me was something you were starting to think twice. I felt it in your heartbeat, it wasn't beating mine. You were already somewhere else, just standing by my side. You held me like goodbye, like I was slipping through your hands, like loving me was something you no longer planned. You held me like goodbye before the words were even said. I felt the ending in your arms before it reached my head. You held me like goodbye. Ooh, I replay the last December, your sweater in my skin. You said I'm right here, baby, but you weren't all in. Your silence had a distance, your smile didn't stay. I think you left me slowly long before that day. I was holding on to forever, you were practicing the fall. I was fighting for the future, you weren't fighting at all. You held me like goodbye, like loving me was hard, like I was just a chapter you'd already torn apart. You held me like goodbye, like this was our last night. I should have known that moment you were letting go that tight. You held me like goodbye. Maybe I felt it sooner, but I was too afraid to see that the way you held my body wasn't how you held me. You held me like goodbye, and I didn't wanna know. I kept pretending everything wasn't about to go. You held me like goodbye, and now I understand. You were already leaving, even when you held my hand. You held me like you held me like goodbye. Will you hold me when I was leaving? We never noticed the silence growing heavy in our room. I was folding up the future while you said we'd be fine soon. You let the distance linger like it wasn't your concern. I was begging for a spark while you were watching it burn. You didn't fight when I was breaking, didn't care when I was grieving. But the second I stopped waiting, you only loved me when I was leaving. When my suitcase hit the floor, when the door was half halfway open, and I wasn't yours anymore. You only reached when I was slipping, said don't go like you believed it. Funny how your heart woke up the moment mine was done believing. You only loved me when I was leaving. Now you're standing in the doorway like you finally understand. But I cried 1,000 midnights, you never tried to hold my hand. You call it fear, you call it timing, you say you didn't see the signs. But love is not a guessing game, and I won't beg you this time. You watch me fade into the background like I'd always be here breathing. But now you're saying please don't go. You only loved me when I was leaving, when the goodbye felt too real, when forever wasn't easy, when you finally had to feel you only wanted what was breaking, when it slipped right through your fingers. Now I'm walking toward the sunlight while you're stuck with what still lingers. You only loved me when I was leaving. Maybe you loved the comfort of knowing I would stay. Maybe you thought I'd never be the one who walks away. But love shouldn't need a warning, shouldn't bloom when it's too late. You don't get to call it love when it wakes up at the gates. You only loved me when I was leaving, when the engine started running, when the tears were finally drying, when I stopped the second guessing. You only saw me when I faded, only chased me when I flew. Now I'm stronger than your silence, and I'm finally done with you. You only loved me when I was leaving. You only